the traditional medicines in India. This ecosystem, there are some use cases, what has been done already. For example, this Namaste portal is developed by Government of India, and this integrates. You can see there are two color codes. The red code is proposed, it is being done, and blue is already done. So we have WHO ICD-11 traditional medicine module is published by WHO with the support of Government of India. We have standard terminology of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani published by WHO. We have Bureau of Indian Standards, which these standards will be escalated to ISO in near future, and this is also being done, already done. We have Clinical Trial Registry of India, where all the clinical researches are documented there, and then also ontology framework for Ayush medical systems. So this Ayush Namaste portal is hosting all of this, and has a potential of having a master application for all of the things about Ayush. And then we have also Ayush Hospital Management Information System, which is an EHR solution which is implemented across the Government of India hospitals and facilities as a pilot. And for pilot, we did 50 million patients pilot, so it is now standardized. The AHMIS, I was just mentioning about AHMIS, and you can see that it has potential of providing electronic health record at the primary level, secondary level, having referral, gatekeeping facility, tertiary care, convergence with health insurance, PMJY, healthcare facilities, CHCs. So this red code is still being done, but rest of the things is done, and it has all the scalability, and this solution is also in sandbox. So let me explain about sandbox, that the API sharing is possible. So if some entrepreneurs, some startups want to develop some EHR, the HMIS is having, they can talk to each other, they having interoperability, and that is the unique thing, and it is also ABDM compliant. So all of the soft solutions of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, they have interoperability with this AHMIS. Another example is PM Gati Shakti Master Plan. So you know that this is a global information, this is a model connectivity platform where all the infrastructure is mapped into this PM Gati Shakti Master Plan. So what Ayush did, that we have global information system for Ayush. We have at least 7 layers there, and under these 7 layers we have mapped all the government facilities of central government and state governments under PM Gati Shakti. And also there is a realization of P5, that is a personalized, preventive, predictive, participatory and promotive healthcare. So, and this is through HMIS or teleconsultation services and Prakriti analysis like Bala Pesalaji mentioned. And then AIM Yoga application we have developed for WHO. And this WHO application is actually developed by India, Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, and it is available to all member states of WHO. It is a contribution of India to the rest of the world. Then we have this Gati Shakti I was mentioning, and I will not detail it, but then there is an asset mapping, and we have a pilot study already done in the states of Mizoram, Karnataka, Andaman, Nicobar, Telangana, Lakshadweep and Puducherry. The P5 medicine, how to realize? If there is less noise, if it is possible, थोड़ा सा आप आवाज कम करेंगे, थोड़ा आप करते रहिए लेकिन आवाज न करिए. So this P5 medicine, we have HMIS, we have Ayurgenomics analytical tool, teleconsultation services. It's all onboarded. We have teleconsultation services at eSanjeevani platform also and AHMIS platform also. There are self-care model also. This Vibrek application, I will urge you to look at your mobile, and then you can see on Google platform or iOS platform, there is an application of Vibrek. This Vibrek application is the new age workforce, white collar jobs where we sit all day and keep our eyes on computer, and this endless. So this Vibrek application is available for 6 minutes of short yoga meditation pranayam, and it is very popular. Just to mention that Government of India has a iGot platform. 1 million government employees have signed up for this. It's most popular course available for the government employees, which is Vibrek. And our Moraji Desai Institute is felicitated for this achievement. The another is M-Yoga app. I just mentioned about that we did for the WHO. In education sector, we have online platform for counseling, which is error-free. It brought lot of accountability and transparency. We have e-books, Ayusoft software. We have taken over from CDEC, and now we have developed it further. Is a diagnosis support system for the physicians also. And then we have Ayush Next portal. We also work with BISAGN for education life cycle learning platform, and it is being used by our National Commission of Indian Medicine and National Commission of Homeopathy. In the area of research, you will be surprised that in most of the such functions, the outside speakers would mention that Ayush is good, is a 5,000 old practices, Ayurveda is very old and is very good, but you need to create evidence. So they don't know that there are a lot of evidence. So what we did, we have created an online index which is available to all. If you type on your search engine, Ayush Research Portal, you can find this. And this research portal is having 43,000 plus peer-reviewed journals indexing, 43,000 plus peer-review or index journal publications. And you can search it, you can download the full paper, you can download the abstract, you can validate, and you can see a lot of things. So there are a lot of evidences. We made it a digital initiative to scale up and to have a better information to the public. Then also drug discovery, architecture, evidence-based medicine, in this area, a lot of things has happened. So I would like to cite an example of COVID-19, that we have Ayush 64 and Kabasura Kudinir, which was repurposed for COVID management in India. And this was done in less than 6 months. All of this validation, it was repurposed drugs. All of the validation, right from docking studies to preclinical studies to large-scale observation studies to large-scale multi-center trials. Everything was done in 6 months. Through the digital initiatives, that is I wanted to convey, through all this translation, bench to bedside, clinical implications, and everything was done for Ayush 64 and Kabasura Kudinir, and it has contributed to the country during COVID crisis. I would like to cite a publication which was published in Frontier in Public Health about Ayush 64. During COVID crisis, in the second wave, we know that hospitalization rate was 6%, and then at that time, with the help of Seva Bharati, we distributed Ayush 64 to 1 lakh patients in less than 15 days. And then we followed them. Out of these 1 lakh patients, 65,000 patients documentation was done. 3 weeks follow-up was done. And then we have analyzed and we found that out of these 65,000 patients, nobody died. And out of the $65,000 patients, only less than 300 got hospitalized, which is less than 0.5%, when there was incidence of 6%. And there was 3% mortality, and in these 65,000 patients, everybody improved. Nobody died. So, and it is published also. So this is kind of, how we can scale up through digital initiatives. It's a very good example. Then we have governance and capacity building area. It's like transparency by Ayush NGO portal, in which all the schemes of Government of India is done paperless and faceless. Then there is also another thing. Another thing is about Ayush Information Hub. It is already mentioned. There is an archival system, NGO portal, e-office implementation. when in 2017 I have taken over as a secretary, the EOPLIS implementation less than 4%. Now it is 98%. So that kind of scalability is also there. Then as TKDL is also another example. With the help of CSR, we developed this traditional medicine digital library. We are aware that more than 10 lakh such documentation of traditional recipes and traditional practices was recorded there. And then it was able to prevent the patenting of public knowledge of Indian traditional system. I have only 2 minutes more. The drug licensing and standardization. We have developed this e-Aushadhi portal, Namaste portal, e-Charak application. E-Charak is a buyer-seller platform when medicinal plant growers can sell their plants to the industry. And this portal has grown by 500% in last 3 years. That is the kind of scalability. Then online sale of pharmacopoeias is also another digital initiative. Then media outreach we have in media Ayush campaign portal. We have showcasing of Ayush heritage by Sahi portal, showcasing of historical imprints, and also Amar portal is a manuscripts of advanced. Lastly, I'm happy to share that we have participated in health, and we were able to, India was able to successfully able to get a separate vertical of AI in traditional medicine. And we are leading this AI in traditional medicine, and it is also having, there are a lot of like Center of Excellence in IIT Jodhpur or blockchain platforms is an area, sensor development, open source network. It is a one step, it's a big step for creating evidence-based Ayurveda with precision, and that is one of the very interesting outcome. I would like to also mention about Desh Ka Prakriti Parikshan Abhiyan. Our Honorable Minister Sri Pratarap Rao Jadhav ji has envisaged this program, and there is a lot of potential. It is already going on. More than 26 lakh Prakriti Parikshan has happened already, and it will end on 26th of this month, and by that 1 crore Prakriti Pariksha will happen. It is all digitally done. So there is an application, there is a QR code, and it is very highly standardized. So what we are visualizing through this database of Prakriti of Indian population, we are envisaging that we will collaborate with Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology to have some total DNA analysis of some of the sample size, so that we can correlate very effectively that there is a genetic predisposition or there is a connection of human genome with Prakriti. So there are a lot of such things are happening. Lastly, what I said, there is a conclusion that we have tech-enabled solutions now through Ayush Grid. It revolutionizes the healthcare with innovations that enhance effectiveness, safety, and affordability. We have also balanced approach which leverages technology for adoption, accessibility, acceptance, scalability, and innovation while preserving the fundamentals of traditional medicine, including Ayurveda, and empowering practitioners, advancing training, quality analysis, and integrating technology and IT as core components in Ayurveda education. My namaskar to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for very enlightening deliberations. Your futuristic vision and dynamic initiatives would definitely pave way to develop a strong digital health ecosystem of Ayurveda. I would like to request whether Rajesh Kotecha ji to please felicitate Dr. Bala Pesela. Mementos, please. I would also like to call upon Chairman Scientific Committee 10th World Ayurveda Congress, Vaidya Arup Thakurji, to please come on stage. Vaidya Anup Thakurji to felicitate our Honorable Secretary Ayush, Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha ji. A big round of applause, please. I think everybody has had breakfast. You should show that you've had one. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Please stay on for the inaugural session, and we apologize because we had to make certain arrangements. The slide might not be visualized completely. Sorry for that. Thank you very much. I sign off.
Yes,
There's an announcement to make. Please lend me your ears. The scheduled program of IDA, which was to be held at 3 p.m. in Meghna Hall, is now preponed by half an hour. Now you have to assemble 15 minutes prior, and it will be starting at 2:30. Once again, I repeat, Meghna Hall IDA is scheduled for 2:30 instead of 3. So please make yourself available 15 minutes prior to the initiation of the program. Thank you.
காலையிலேயே போன்லயா? இன்னில இருந்து யோகா ஆரம்பிக்கலாம்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அதனால யோகா மேட், ஹெட் பேண்ட்ஸ், ஷூஸ் இது எல்லாமே ஆர்டர் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தேன்.
எல்லாம் இன்னைக்கே டெலிவரி ஆயிடுமா? நாட் பாசிபிள்.
என்ன? காலையில ஆர்டர், சாயந்தரம் எல்லாமே டெலிவரியா? எப்படி? Amazon Primeல இருந்து.
இந்த Amazon Prime நிஜமாவே டூ மச் தான்.
10 lakh plus products free same day delivery. Amazon Prime. நிஜமாவே too much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. If someone wants to connect with Krishna really fast, do you just say Krishna, Krishna?
Take her name, Radha Krishna. That's why the people who live in Vrindavan are blessed. They say Radhe Radhe all the time.
Can we speak about modern day Vrindavan?
In Vrindavan, there is spots that are called as Rasasthali. This is where the Rasa Leela happens every day, and to honor that, the whole place is closed by 7 because Krishna and Radha and the gopis will come at that time of the night and nobody can see them.
Can you take us from his teenage up till the Mahabharata?
Krishna is an expert strategizer. Krishna uses the Pandavas and the Kauravas as a pretext to wipe the earth clean of all those kings that are living adharmically. He says, those who believe that I am everything, without 1 second break, I will take care of them.
Such a different energy in this part of the podcast.
Right? Even in my body, I can feel.
We don't hear too much about the 36 years post the Mahabharata. Could you give us the surface level story of what happened?
This is mentioned in the Mahabharatam itself. What happens is, towards the end of the 18 days, Gandhari comes onto the battlefield.
The mother of the gods.
The mother of the Kauravas. When she's on the battlefield, Krishna is behind her. She turns to Krishna and she says, so I curse you, Krishna. You will die by a hunter's arrow. That is my curse to you. Krishna receives that curse smilingly and he says, Amma, you shouldn't have cursed me. I'll tell you why.
When it comes to Krishna, you study his entire life, it's likely that you'll find yourself feeling more connected to one part of his life than the other parts.
Absolutely.
And that's often a reflection of you yourself.
Krishna is a heartbeat in this country. Krishna avataram, final avataram. When Krishna comes, for everybody, it's the last janma. Nobody who comes in contact with Krishna comes back into samsara chakra.
Why did I get goosebumps right now?
You can be anything directed towards Krishna, your life will change. Allow yourself to be soaked in Radha and Krishna. They will take you to wherever you are meant to be, whoever your Ishtadevata is. They will find you and they will place you. And if it is them, then you have already reached.
Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe.
He's one of the most poetic guests that we've had on TRS. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Janmashtami special, this Krishna special with the iconic poet that's entered all our lives, Vinay Varanasi. Absolutely enjoyed this podcast because many of us know the story of Krishna. It was a recap with respect to the story, but we went into very, very deep, spiritual, esoteric tangents that are not very well understood about the story on this podcast. We covered Krishna's entire life right from his birth, right up till the point where this Vishnu avatar finished his work in the earthly realm. If you're someone who wants to deep dive into the subject of Krishna even further, this is a 2024 update on TRS. We've covered Krishna in so many episodes, but we've never covered him in so much detail and with so much depth. If you're speaking about detail and depth, you've got to remember the name Vinay Varanasi. This is a sequel episode to the Dash Avatar episode or the 10 Vishnu Avatars episode that we did some time ago. You're going to absolutely enjoy this one if you enjoy any of us Sanatan Dharm related episodes. It's Vinay Varanasi on TRS. We're with the newfound all-star, the newfound superstar,
Big words.
the magical voice that we found in 2024, Vinay Varanasi, is back on TRS.
Thank you for having me.
How are you, brother?
Good. In a zone, ready to welcome the avatars that are waiting to emerge.
Okay, we covered the Vishnu avatars and the story of the Vishnu Puran
Yes.
in the last episode, and we stopped at the Parshuram avatar.
Yes.
this is where we re-begin that story. Because this is a Janmashtami special. I think we're going to be a lot more focused on Krishna Bhagwan.
Sure.
But we also have to mention Ramji a little bit.
Of course.
Where would you like to begin this conversation? Personally, for me, I would just love to mention aspects of the Ramayana because that's a whole topic in itself.
Absolutely.
And it's a Janmashtami special.
Yes.
So I will let you begin the story and these concepts wherever you wish.
Thank you. So instead of treating them as two sequential avatars, maybe what we can do is actually let Krishna emerge fully. Rama will come through him. That's my belief. So
Before we begin, can I request you to chant a prayer?
sure.
Okay, whatever you wish.
Absolutely. Sure. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedhase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha Shri Ramapatnim Janakasya Putri Sitangana Sundara Komalangi Bhugarbhajata Bhuvanaikamata Vadhuvarabhyam Varada Bhavantu.
எல்லாமே முறப்படி செஞ்சாதான் சரியா இருக்கும். டாடா டீ சக்ரா கோல்டு சீரான ப்ராசஸ், சரியான டீ. டாடா டீ சக்ரா கோல்டு, தமிழர்களுக்கான டீ, முறப்படியான டீ.
டாடா டீ சக்ரா கோல்டின் பேக்கில் பெறுங்கள் 20% அதிகம்.
Beautiful.
So it was so interesting. I have to tell you how this episode itself happened. When a few days ago, when you guys had reached out saying, you're thinking of this Janmashtami special and we should do it, there were a lot of things lined up in the calendar at that time. And I was just thinking, okay, how do we make this? How do I, squeeze this in? But I haven't yet spoken on Krishna at great length. So I want to make it happen. I was just thinking about it and I said, okay, let me figure it out. I'll sleep over it. The next day, unknown to a friend, or rather unknown to me, a friend sends this message. She doesn't know about any of this context, in which she had a dream and she said, I was sitting in a Rama temple and I was speaking on Hanuman. And Hanuman was listening and Krishna came from behind and he tapped my shoulder and he said, you never talk about me. This is not fair. So apparently in that dream, I turned and I started speaking to Krishna about Krishna. Now I found this very interesting because it, in some senses for me, this is Krishna Avataram. That when Krishna comes, everything else merges into him. And I think that's the whole premise on which we can also begin to speak about today, because this avataram is fundamentally very different. There is something about this avataram which makes it stand out to a whole new level, which we'll explore in the course of this conversation. Every part of it is special. If you look at the context of the avataram, of when it comes, if you look at the book, the Grantham, where this avataram is spoken about. So let's look at, since it's a Janmashtami special, right? Let's start off looking at when do we celebrate Janmashtami. Janmashtami, as we know, as per the lunar calendar, comes in Shravana Masam, in the month of Shravan, in the dark half Ashtami, that is in the Krishna Paksha Ashtami. Krishna Paksha Ashtami is always dedicated to Kala Bhairava. All the dark halves are all the Ashtamis that come in the Krishna Paksham are Kala Ashtamis.
What is an Ashtami?
Ashtami is the 8th day. So the 8th day of the ascending or the descending moon. So either on the way to Purnima or between Purnima, which is full moon, to Amavasya, which is new moon. Now, very interestingly, the whole concept of Ratri, of night, has a lot of power in Sanatana Dharma. There are supposed to be 4 phenomenal nights in the whole year where the power of the divine becomes extremely accessible. So these 4 nights are listed out as Kala Ratri. One is called Kala Ratri. This is the night of Deepavali. Also the night before Deepavali, which in the north is called Choti Diwali, and in the south is called as Naraka Chaturdashi. This night is supposed to be extremely powerful for any kind of sadhana, particularly for Devi sadhana. So Kala Ratri is the first. The second is Maharatri. Maharatri is the night of Mahashivratri. That is when we all know that that night is powerful for sadhana. That's why actually even coming to Deepavali, many traditions stress on doing Lakshmi Puja at midnight and not finishing it in the evening. You have to do Lakshmi Puja at midnight, and there's a process where Alakshmi is removed. So you sweep the house at midnight, which you don't otherwise do. Because traditionally, once the evening lamp is lit, you don't sweep and mop the home anymore. So, but this is a practice that's very specific to Deepavali.
Midnight on main Diwali or midnight before?
So Kalaratri is considered to be both the night before and the night of Deepavali. So that is the night of Chaturdashi, the 14th day, and Amavasya. So either or like we say in Sanatana Dharma, adhikasya phalam adhikam. Do more, it gives you more fruit. So one is Kalaratri, the second is Maharatri. The third one is called as Moharatri. Moha means delusion. Moharatri is the night or is the name given to the night of Janmashtami because this night is phenomenal. But I'll complete the fourth one and then come back to this night. The fourth one is called as Daruna. Daruna is the night of Akshay Tritiya. This night is supposed to be one of the most powerful in the year where you can actually experience Devi. So there is a specific suktam in the Vedas that is called as Ratri Suktam. Those who are initiated into this and those who kind of, do their sadhana in a way that it culminates on any of these 4 nights. In history, there have been examples of people who have had sakshatkaram, who have actually seen the goddess on these nights. So it's interesting that these 4 nights, Janmashtami features in them because the night of Janmashtami is spectacular.
When does the fourth night happen?
Akshay Tritiya.
Which is when?
Akshay Tritiya comes corresponding to the English calendar around April-May. Okay. Corresponding to the lunar and solar calendars in the month of Vaishakha. That is the 3rd day. Of course, Akshay Tritiya, like Dhanteras, has become a day about buying wealth. So most people forget that it's actually a day of intense sadhana and a night of intense sadhana. Akshay Tritiya also gets that name because what sadhana you do on that day gives you Akshaya Phalam, endless fruit. So hence Akshay Tritiya. But that's a different discussion. So coming back to Moharatri, the night of delusion. So the night that he chooses to arrive itself is a powerful one. Ashtami, the 8th day, like I said, on one hand is always dedicated, the Kala Ashtami, the dark Ashtamis. When I say dark, it's in terms of the phases of the moon. So this comes in the dark half of the month because it's heading towards Amavasya. That Ashtami is always sacred to Kala Bhairava. Now, in addition to this is a night that something spectacular happens. Most of us are familiar with the birth of Krishna, the story that he is born to Vasudeva and Devaki on one side, and soon after his miraculous birth in the jail, because that's where they were jailed, he's taken across the Yamuna. Vasudeva takes him across, and there he is swapped with a baby girl that is born there. Here is the first indication in the story. Something phenomenal about this avataram. This is an avataram where Krishna and Shakti both are born. Because Devi and Vishnu, as we discussed earlier, are considered to be brother and sister. She is called as Padmanabha Sahodari, Shyama Krishna Sodari. She is supposed to be the sister of Krishna or of Vishnu. So they come together, they are twins. Now, this is the linear story that we know. But this is the beautiful thing. The whole aspect of Krishna's arrival is not an ordinary one. There is something magical happening in every part of the story. Look at this context where he appears. He appears, I will not say born because there is no birth for Paramapurusha. But when he takes form, he immediately shows Devaki and Vasudeva his Swarupam. He shows them with Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. He shows them his Swarupam as Vishnu. And there they praise him, they extol him, and then he converts himself into a little boy. So from the little boy, they saw the Swarupam and it went back as a little boy. Vasudeva puts him into that basket and Krishna instructs him, saying, take me onto the other side of Yamuna.
Can I pause you here just
Yes.
a little bit? For story context.
Yes.
Who was Kans?
Okay, sure.
Let's rewind this a little bit and
Sure.
then come back to this point.
Absolutely. So, Vasudeva and Devaki,
Choose how you want to use Galaxy AI. On device or online. It's your choice.
when they get married, Devaki has a cousin brother by name Kamsa. Kamsa has this, he's very fond of Devaki. And he's the one who's conducted this wedding in a huge, lavish, grand way. But post the wedding, as soon as the wedding is over, when he's taking them for a procession, that is when he hears an Akashavani, a voice in the heavens that says the eighth child of this woman is going to be, is going to be responsible for your death. So Kamsa's first reaction is he wants to kill his sister. So it's Vasudeva who implores him and says, don't look, the danger to you is through the eighth child, right? So we will give you the eighth child. And why eighth child? We'll give you all the children that we have so that there is absolutely no danger to your life. So Kamsa instructs for them to be put into a jail, Vasudeva and Devaki, his cousin sister and her husband. And initially when the first few children are born also, he doesn't even take them. He doesn't, because he knows what he's been told, that the 8th child is the problem child, literally. So he's only interested in killing that child. He has nothing to do with the other children. But the beauty of Krishna Katha starts here. Most of us go through this part, we read through it in a great hurry. But Kamsa is sitting happily. He knows only that 8th child will cause me some trouble when it comes. He's not even thinking about anything. He's carrying on with his work. It's at that time that Narada Muni comes. And he says, look, the voice said the 8th child, but who knows if it will be 8 combined with the other 7 that could cause trouble. So how are you letting them be? You should kill all of them as well. Now this looks like a very gruesome thing to do, no? Killing 7 innocent children, or the children that have come before. The 7th one doesn't get killed. So Kamsa immediately acts on this order, and he orders for the children so far that have been born to be killed. What a gruesome act. But here lies the idea. The idea of this, why does Narada come and instill or instigate such a thing? Because he wants Kamsa to start thinking about the 8th child. Thinking about Krishna is the whole key to unlocking the mystery of the world of Krishna. Anybody who comes in contact with Krishna, they're thinking about him. Good, bad is secondary. Whether they're in love with him, whether they hate him, doesn't matter. Kamsa gets mukti. The same Kamsa who had his own sister imprisoned and tried to kill all of her children and tried to have the 8th child killed, ultimately finds deliverance at the hands of that very 8th child. Because he becomes obsessed. He keeps thinking, when will the 8th child be born? When will the 8th child be born? This is yoga. When you are constantly thinking, Kamsa becomes a category of yogis called as Bhaya Yogi. He is a yogi not through happiness or through joy, but he is a yogi on account of his fear. Ravana falls into the same category in the Ramayana. Ravana is also constantly thinking, when will Rama come? When will Rama come? Or who is this who has come on behalf of Rama and has burnt all of Lanka? That is Hanuman. So when fear enters, but that fear is about that supreme concept, that supreme ideology, then even that will give you deliverance. So that is what is indicated through Kamsa. So he has them bound, and on that phenomenal night, Vyasa, when he writes the Bhagavatam, when he writes the Bhagavata Puranam, when he comes to this chapter, he wants to show you everything that's there. That is why he begins saying, Tam Adbhutam Balakam. 2 words. Adbhutam, extraordinary. Balakam, baby boy. But immediately after that, he describes the Swarupam of the baby boy. It's a baby boy, but his Swarupam is Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Trisha Parishwata Sahasra Kuntalam Balakam. He has all of these Rajalanchanas, all of these adornments, all of this Swarupam that is fitting the Lord of the universe, but he's a boy. Vyasa cannot control himself. This is the difference between Ramavataram and Krishnavataram. In Ramavataram, the whole context is Rama pretends to be a man. Valmiki gives it away only in one place, when he says the Lord of the universe was born as Kausalya's son, because Valmiki could not contain that joy. But after that, Rama is treated as a man in the epic till Ravana's death. There is a reason for that. I'll come there later. But in Krishnavataram, the glory manifests from second number 1. He's already established that it's Mahavishnu, and there is no condition here. In the case of Ramavataram, Ravana had a condition. Ravana said, I should not die at the hands of a man. So that condition has to be honored. So to honor that, Rama pretends to be the perfect man. Krishna has no such conditions. So he's come on this side of the river. But this is the story we know, that once Krishna appears like this and shows his parents his Swarupa, he tells them, take me to the other side.
Again, I got to pause you a little
Yes.
bit. There is something I have to say, and there's also an associated question.
Yes.
How do we know the story of Krishna's life? Where is it written?
Okay, sure. Do you want me to take that, or do you want to?
You can tell us that first.
Sure. Again, it's so interesting that you ask this now, because the whole time in my head, one thought has been running saying, we haven't done a pranamam to the Grantham, to the book from where all of this comes. So Krishna's story, predominantly, we find in the Bhagavata Puranam, or Srimad Bhagavatam as it is known. This book itself is extraordinary. It's wrong to call it a book because it is very much the body of Vishnu. Bhagavata Puranam has 12 chapters, as we call 12 skandhas. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. If you add Omkaram to that, you get 12 syllables. The 12 syllables of the Vasudeva mantram correspond to the 12 chapters of this book.
Wow.
So the mantra of Vasudeva becomes a book. That book takes a human form. Not a human form, it takes a divine form. That form, if you look at the commentaries on the Bhagavatam, they will tell you which chapter corresponds to which organ of the Lord. It is extraordinary. I'll give you an example. The heart of Bhagavatam comes in the 7th chapter, Saptamaskandam. The heart of Bhagavatam, meaning that for this entire book, this is the heart. This is the Hridaya Sthanam. The Hridaya Sthanam is given to Prahlada Charitram. This goes beyond poetry. What they're trying to tell you is the heart of this entire Vasudeva Tattvam of understanding the essence of Vishnu is in understanding the devotee. The heart of God is the devotee. That is why Prahlada Charitram is the Hridaya Sthanam. Krishna's story, the whole context of the Bhagavatam, comes in the 10th chapter. What is the basic backstory to the Bhagavatam? There is a phenomenal king, Parikshit Maharaj, a descendant of the Pandavas. When Parikshit Maharaj sits down, knowing that his life is going to leave him in 7 days, he's yearning for moksha, he's yearning for release. At this point, Vyasa's son, Shuka Yogendra sits him down and for 7 days at a stretch, does the first ever Bhagavata Saptaham, that is 7 days of Bhagavat Katha. At the end of it, Parikshit attains moksha. This is the premise of Bhagavatam. But look at this premise, this context itself. In the very beginning itself, he says, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Shuka Yogendra tells Parikshit, Krishna is Bhagavan. But he doesn't tell you Krishna's story up till the 10th chapter. Because Krishna's katha requires a certain firmness. It requires that the Atma must ripen. Only when there is ripening of the spirit within can we understand Krishna. Because at the end of 9 chapters, Parikshit asks, he says, you've told me about various other leelas. So like I said, Prahlada Charitra comes, Narasimha naturally comes after that. A host of Bhagavat leelas come. Then he says, tell me about Krishna Katha. The second he says that, Shuka Yogendra says, now you have asked the question which you are ready for. And he begins Krishna Katha, which comes in the 10th chapter. The Dashama Skandam, where this comes, as I said earlier, each part corresponds to a different organ of Paramapurusha. The Dashama Skandam, the 10th chapter, corresponds to the face of the Lord. So, if you have to look at any person, essentially we establish connect with them through their face. We may admire every other visible organ that we can see, but we make eye contact with the face. We gaze upon the face even for the Lord to look at that form. So what they mean by saying this is saying that the entire essence of Bhagavatam is in the 10th chapter. And that is why when Krishna Katha begins over here, it takes over a completely different look and shape for the person who's hearing it and for the person who's saying it. So this is the Bhagavata Puranam, where the story that I just told you about Krishna being or taking form and then asking his parents, this happens in Mathura. From Mathura, he asks them, take me across the Yamuna and take me to Gokul. Okay. So that's where they go.
Gotcha. What's in the 11th and 12th chapter?
So the Bhagavatam continues at the very end of the Dashamaskandam. So I'll come to the 11th and 12th in just a bit. The whole premise of the Dashamaskandam is, this is the ultimate. Krishna Avataram is the ultimate. From here, whatever is left for Parikshit to internalize. You see chapters talking about the Atma, the nature of the Atma, coming towards the last few chapters, because Krishna's Charitram itself extends across these. Now Krishna Katha is the last portion that takes him ultimately towards his internal journey. Various stories regarding Krishna from his birth. But the additional idea here is Krishna Katha is not contained only in the Bhagavatam. It also appears in Mahabharatam. Because portions that are given in great detail here, there are mentioned in brief, and other portions that you don't find too many references to here are expanded upon in the Mahabharatam and subsequently other Puranas. So, yes.
इंडिक विजडम बनता है प्रॉपर लकड़ी घनी में, क्योंकि इस प्रोसेस में हीट जनरेट ही नहीं होती, ट्रांस फैट्स बन ही नहीं सकते, और क्योंकि ये ऑयल्स 100% प्लांट बेस्ड है, इनमें कभी कोलेस्ट्रॉल भी नहीं होता.
Wow, okay. Now I'm going to mention something that I have been wanting to say since the beginning of this episode.
Sure.
It's almost unrelated to what you're saying, but also adjacently related. Possibly one of the guests that I enjoyed speaking to the most over the course of the whole podcast is Nilesh Oak, sir. And Nilesh Oak's whole subject is the dating of the Indian epics.
Yeah.
The Ramayana and Mahabharata. We also had a phenomenal guest named Rupa Bhati, whose episodes haven't been released yet. She's working within that same subject, studying the Rig Veda and trying to date India's history, basically, using astronomy.
Sure.
Incredible podcast. I'll shorten what I'm trying to say by mentioning that basically all of Nilesh Oksar's research and Rupa Bhati's research has led to understanding that the Mahabharat happened at the 5561 BC mark. That's the dating of the Mahabharat.
Okay.
And they say 36 years after the Mahabharat is when Krishna passed away, which is about 5525 BC, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. And they've also gone on to date the Ramayana. It's roughly around 12,000 BC. All of their life's research has been about these two dates.
Sure.
Now that got me thinking that if you actually draw a line from 2024 right back up to 12,000 BC, the Mahabharat, which happens at 5561 BC, is exactly at the midpoint between now and the Ramayana. And then when you link it to the avatars, I think to myself that, damn, the way we look at Krishna is probably how the characters of the Mahabharata looked at
Rama.
Yes.
Yes.
And Hanumanji.
Absolutely.
It also kind of makes me positively question that these were all based on real beings that were a part of our realm.
Absolutely.
These stories are based on beings that were a part of our realm. And yet there's poetry associated with them. Yet there are massive granthas written about these same characters.
Yes.
How do you feel about this subject related to the dating of these epics? I'd just love to know your opinion.
So it's interesting that when we look at this Rama and Krishna sequentially, most of us think that so Rama came in Treta Yuga, Krishna came in Dwapar Yuga. But there are a host of Puranas that say it's not in the same cycle of yugas that they came. So any Mahayuga, what do we call as a Mahayuga? The combination of Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. 4 yugas put together is one Mahayuga. So it's not that Treta Yuga finished, Rama came in Treta Yuga, and it's not that as soon as Treta Yuga finished, Krishna came in the same Dwapara. It said that after one Mahayuga, in the next Dwapar Yuga is when Krishna incarnated. So the numbers that you're giving suggest that there is that much of a gap between the two. No, it's not, ye kal khatam hua and the next thing began the next morning kind of a thing. So there is a massive gap between the two. Like you said, there are stories that connect, that Krishna's mother Yashoda tells him about Rama. So Rama was very much living and breathing in everybody's consciousness by the time of Krishna's arrival. Absolutely. So it's, again, dates is a huge subject to go into. You will also see timelessness of this, because every time there is a Mahayuga cycle, there is a Rama and there is a Krishna that comes. There is a beautiful story in Ramayana that says this, where Rama asks Hanuman, this is much after the Pattabhishekam, after Rama is coronated as king. He tells Hanuman, some time ago, Brahmadeva had taken the ring from me, the ring that you gave to Sita when you went to Lanka searching for her, and you sent a ring on my behalf which had Ramanamam on it. That ring was taken by Brahmadeva. He wanted it at some point of time to keep it and worship with him. I want you to go and bring that back. So Hanuman goes. When Hanuman goes to Brahmaloka and he asks him for it, it's a very long story, I'm condensing it. Brahmadeva tells him there is a pond in Satyaloka where I am. Go to that pond and I'm worshipping that ring inside the pond. Step into the pond and you can take it. When Hanuman steps into that pond, he sees like tons and tons of rings. The whole river bed, that whole pond bed is covered with rings. So he comes out confused and comes straight back to Rama and he says, which one is the ring? I didn't know which one. They all look identical. So Rama smiles and he says, I did this to show you the timelessness of my Leela. Every time there is a new Yuga, there is a Rama avatar. And every time that happens, the same story enacts and Brahmadeva takes the ring and keeps it there. So look how many Rama avatarams have happened. So it could also be that the dates that we're talking about are dating to one Rama avataram. The ones that came before, we don't know. Again, cyclic nature of time, Kala Chakram.
லாப்ரோஸ்கோபிக் சிகிச்சைகளுக்கு ஜெம் மருத்துவமனை பெருங்குடி மற்றும் அமஞ்சிக்கரை சென்னை,
as we call it. So yeah.
Okay. Now we can move on. Just